Well, you can't go skiing in Pasco County anymore either.
Sometimes. What are you talking about?
Linda, you should be able to hear us.
Yes, I can hear you really well.
Thank you.
Oh, we hear you too.
Too loud?
Mm-hmm.
Too loud.
Probably need to make it a little louder, actually.
I'll get it.
I got it, there we go. All right, so Cindy, will you say something else?
Yes, can you hear me now? How loud am I?
Can you hear her? Yes, that's great.
Mary,
Yes.
I think I need you to put me in as co-host so I can manage the attendees.
She's on it. She thought she probably did it.
You look very official tonight, Jenny.
Very official, my little name.
Your name tag on there?
Yeah.
I'm glad, because it's people like me. I'm going senile. I keep forgetting people's names. Drop a hat.
Got it. I have it, Mary.
What's going on?
Chief. What? I know.
Ooh, gee.
I'm gonna talk about it.
There you are.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I just have like 2 sentences to say.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about it.
What is this?
With what?
Somebody was talking, I guess it's him. Oh, he's on phone.
Mary?
What?
Hey, Mary. Mary?
Mary?
Yes.
I think Bill Krajewski is only half on my screen visually. That works.
We have to practice social distancing here. I don't want to go through the glass.
Okay, can you see him now?
Yeah, better.
Better.
I just got.
Can you pan a little?
Only Bill.
So you have a little.
I've never been
Thank you.
photogenic, so what the heck? So what? You don't have to see me or look at me.
Other way. Oh, perfect.
You can see Jenny?
Yeah, can you tweak it just a little bit toward Jenny? Other way. A little bit more. And there, perfect. I think that's perfect.
Which means I can't move.
Go sit so we can see you.
Well, it's 45 pounds and still isn't there, huh? Oh, yeah.
Okay, third time's a charm.
Oh, let's hope this is the charm. Yeah, this is a lot of meetings for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary,
Yes.
is that microphone over there working? Because that was one of the complaints.
Test.
Oh, yeah. it works.
You can hear us now.
I can also also here as an audience.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners, Town of Redington Shores regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, 6 p.m. Please rise for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Present.
Commissioner Neal,
Here.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Present.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Here.
Mayor Henderson,
Here.
Attorney Denhart.
Here.
Okay, so at this point, we're gonna open the regular meeting, and we'll start with the approval of the minutes from workshop meeting December 9th, 2020, regular meeting December 9th, 2020, and special meeting December 28th, 2020.
And I would move to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting December 9th, 2020, the regular meeting December 9th, 2020, and the special meeting of December 28th, 2020. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Neal.
I do want to mention that in the meeting minutes, there was a question with regard to whether or not the contracting with Lisa Hendrickson was a conflict of interest, and the minutes reflected that the town clerk was going to check with Jim Denhart to assure that that was okay. And I believe she did, and that is fine, correct?
We don't find any conflict.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to ratify the bills for December 2020 and January of 2021.
I move to ratify the bills for December 2020 and January 2021.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Blackburn, seconded by Vice Mayor Robinson. Any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, on to commission reports. I'll start with mine. I know the vaccine is what is on everybody's mind these days, but the new registration system seems to be working much better than the previous one. But the demand is just too great for the supply. Please know that Pinellas County is doing everything possible to get more vaccines, and I believe Vice Mayor Robinson is going to discuss a little bit more on that. I know there has been quite a few people that have emailed about their concerns about the pieces of the debris that were left by the pier under the water. And we even had, I think, somebody that sent us pictures of a woman whose leg was all scratched up and all that stuff. But I'm happy to say that we heard back from the state, and they are in the process of getting a second contract to remove the remaining debris. So hopefully they will move quickly on that and get that all taken care of before we would actually start swimming again. The HR committee met a week before last, and they plan to have something finalized for the commission at the next workshop meeting, I believe. Mary, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Also, since the meeting where I brought up reducing the 5-year cumulative to a 1-year cumulative with regards to the 50% rule, our consultant drafted an ordinance, and we are confirming that there are no other changes that will be necessary for FEMA and the DEM regulations. But because this is an ordinance change, I understand it is required to go before our LPA, which is the Planning and Zoning Board. And we will be voting on that resolution later in the meeting. We all received a memo regarding the possibility of switching offices around to make more room for our commissioners. The size of the commission office is not large enough to accommodate any of our working commissioners these days. So Sherry and Mary measured everything and decided if we ordered cubicles with desks and flip-flopped offices with mine is very, very large. And I moved to the little closet back there. I think that's just a better use of space since we have so many commissioners that are in the office and need that space. So Mary, you might wanna, I don't know, say something about that.
Well, you do have the quotes from the different companies there. I think we, as staff, recommended going with Staples for the reasons as stated, more professional looking and, you know, it comes with your little file cabinets and all that kind of stuff, so, and, like Mayor Henderson said, she jumped right on that. She's been saying that that office is way too big, so if, we can get that approved later on. I think it's on the, did I put it on the, I think it was, is it on the agenda? I think you might just want to see if you can get a,
Vote right now?
yes.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I think from, because the last time when we put the agenda out, I didn't change anything since we
Okay.
kept on canceling it, that the last quote came in late, so.
So I make a motion that we accept the quote from Staples for the redoing the offices in Town Hall. Is that good enough?
Seconded.
Good enough?
We'll include
So
the,
second.
we'll include the cost in that motion.
I don't know what it is. Is it in the paperwork we have, Mary?
It's in the, it was in the last one. I have it in front of me.
Yeah. I don't know if
Yes.
I kept that.
It's, 5,609.88.
Okay,
And that includes, well, we have a motion in a second. We really don't need to be discussing it until we,
but follow-up discussion, 5,609,
609, say.
560988,
And
right?
who's the second?
Bill Krajewski, sorry,
Krajewski.
my bad.
So,
The only other cost that might get involved in is, having someone come in and put them together, since we're kind of low on staff,
Oh, yeah.
so, but this is good.
yeah. And it, I mean, the things look great. The desk is built right in. And it'll be very professional looking.
Great.
So from a financial standpoint, there's money in the budget, not necessarily in the line item for this purpose, but we do have money for machinery and equipment that we feel confident will not be spent and can be used for this purpose. So there shouldn't be an issue there. I agree with the importance of doing this. I'm really encouraged. Well, I always ran into the mayor in town hall, and she started seeing me here a lot. It's really nice with our newly elected commissioners that they're here as well, and we do suffer from lack of decent office space for that. So this is a good solution, and I appreciate the mayor's willingness to give up that large office of hers.
I've been saying it for years.
Mhm.
I agree with getting desks. One thing you need to be mindful of, though, I think, I'm just putting it out there, when you have 2 or 3 commissioners working at one time in there, you gotta pay attention to what you're talking about when you're talking to somebody, so you don't cross any.
We talked to,
I had a conversation with her too. I just bringing it up. I mean, that's just be mindful of it.
okay, any other discussion? Maybe please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
no, bye-bye pink cows. Chief Swan, did you want to report anything with the police, anything?
We're still dealing with the coronavirus in the office. Our office, we still have 2 officers out. We have 2 administrative personnel from Indian Shores in quarantine as well. So we've stepped up our precautions. I've got them not even coming in the office now. They're checking in, getting in their cars, those that aren't taking them home, and going to work, trying to keep the distance throughout the day as much as possible. We can't really afford to lose 1 or 2 more. We'll be in a fix. So, other than that, things are going pretty good. The vaccine, everybody's talking about it, belabor it, but that seems to be the problem. We get a lot of phone calls and not a lot of information. Not enough vaccine to meet demand. They opened up a new site. I think Vice Mayor Robinson's going to talk about it, but I think it went down about an hour afterwards because they ran out of appointments. It's getting better, and I'm sure it will get better.
Just gotta be patient.
Everybody needs patience. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes, to continue on with that, coronavirus remains a serious problem. Hospitalizations and intensive care units are near their highest levels. The British variant of the coronavirus, which everyone has heard about, is present here in Florida. And as a matter of fact, Florida has the distinction of having more cases of that variant than any other state in the union. So that suggests to everyone that you need to take this serious yet. Social distance, wash your hands, wear a mask, do all the things that you should, and avoid unnecessary travel. Pinellas County did have a problem with their initial registration process on their website. They hired a different software company, one that was being used by Hillsborough County and several other counties within Florida. That site works much better. It does require, in order to make an appointment when those become available, that you pre-register and you have the registration complete. Registration does take some time to work through. Last Friday, when I received notice that the site was up and worked through the process to get my wife an appointment, by the time I got that done, there was no appointment time left for myself. So, but again, it is getting better. So if you pre-register and if you so signify in that registration that you would like notification as more vaccine becomes available, they will text you, call you, do what's necessary to alert you to the fact so that you can jump back on the site and make an appointment. That site is www.patientportalfl.com. That's www.patientportalfl.com. And I would encourage everyone, particularly over 65, because that's what they're doing right now. They're still intent on vaccinating those 65 and older in the county. Everyone that's 65 should jump on that site, get themselves pre-registered so that when vaccine becomes available, they'll be ready to make an appointment. They are opening more sites. I'm encouraged by that. And I know that Chief Burford has been involved in discussions on that, and that's been an important change. The difficulty is, as Chief Swan mentioned, is the availability of vaccine. Pinellas County this past week received 10,000 doses. The unfortunate thing is 10,000 doses does not go very far when your population of 65 and older in Pinellas County alone is estimated at 250,000. So it'd take an awful long time at 10,000 dosage units just to get through the 65-year-olds. So hopefully that vaccine will be coming quicker. And again, as everybody has said, patience, work your way through it. And until you get that vaccine, please be careful. Thank you. That ends my report.
Yep. Can I ask, I don't know, Chief or Michael, the Vice Mayor? Has there been any discussion? We got, especially in our town here, we got a lot of condominiums that have a significant population that's over 65. Has there been any talk? I know there's the issue with refrigeration and all that. Any talk about possibly setting up either at the condos or somewhere strategically when in each town, maybe to get at those people a little quicker than having to visit?
I can answer that. I'm Heather Burford, Fire Chief for the City of Seminole Fire Rescue Department. It's a great question, and multiple communities and homeowner associations have asked the same question, posed the same question across the state, across this county too. And there is no discussion of doing that at this point.
Okay,
Right now, we're focused on sites that are pre-approved or pre-arranged with the Department of Health. And as the Vice Mayor mentioned, there are 4 additional sites now opened up that the fire staff across the county are now running. And I think you're gonna see areas of accumulation, so community centers and libraries and bigger areas that can handle large number of people until there's enough vaccine where we can start to bring it out to the community. That might be a possibility, they're saying in the future, but not right now.
okay. Thank you, Chief.
Great question.
For the record, we did offer Indian Shores Town Hall for the beach communities as a possible site, but it has not been approved by the county health department yet for the reasons that Chief Burford has discussed. So we're doing what we can to bring it closer to the community, but again, it's a matter of demand versus product.
Thank you. Commissioner Neal.
First, we're speaking of coronavirus. We just had another resident pass away in Shore Mariner, Gus Catalano. Like maybe have a little moment of silence. Skeets was a pretty good old guy. He was 93, but he was another resident passed away. So
Of what?
COVID. Okay. Yeah, I hate to see that. I mean, we've been seeing more and more people that we know. It's sad, and I hope that we get this under control sometime. Other notes, Rich Perez is going to resign from the Financial Advisory Committee. And with that being said, I want to appoint Christy Harry from District 2 to take his place. So if we have our,
Is that a motion? Do we have to make a motion for that? I don't even know.
Is, just to make sure, was Rich on as an alternate? or
no, he was on
He was the regular
he was a
member?
regular. So if you want to vote on that, I will make that a motion. Good. Everybody here, do you know? Everybody
know how
knows
that's
Christy.
supposed
I don't know the individual. Can you tell
She
us
was a commissioner
anything
here
about
in
his
the 90s.
background?
She was commissioner for District 2 back in the 90s. Yeah, we'll wait for his resignation letter. I haven't seen a resignation letter. This is just all
He said
voted
he
right
was
now.
going to resign, unless he's resigned, I'm not sure. You can
Okay,
appoint him.
all right. I got it.
Can we get something for the commissioners that don't know Christie? Can we get something in writing? from
Oh,
her
I
about
think we
her
can.
background?
Yes, I think we can.
Is he also resigning from HR or no?
No, I think he's staying there. He just
Okay.
mentioned resigning
Okay.
because of course, you know, he's getting ready to build a house, so he wants to spend some time on that. Okay,
We
finally,
actually have a couple of vacancies, then we'll have a couple of vacancies on the FAC. We'll also
We still
have
have
one
one here on my side.
for Bill's spot, since he's commissioner and is running unopposed. So we probably handle all that at the same time if we can.
good idea.
Make some,
We finally got an MOT squared away, thanks to Mary and Butch Landville with Miller Pipeline. We have Mary set us up now. All we have to do is make a phone call when we want to work on Gulf Boulevard. So with that being said, on the 25th, we're going to start with the manhole inspections and up and down Gulf Boulevard with the weak rings around the manhole covers. And with that, we're going to move right into the lateral repairs that we have in front of the Wine Knot and the Gazebo. We have 3 lines there that are terrible, and they're one of them is even bringing in about 5 gallons of water an hour because it's leaking. It's been steady.
I see
So-
the bill that we got from, Joe
No,
Valentine.
yeah, service one where we had to ride it again. Yeah, them lines are pretty sad, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So we have the MOT permit set up. We might as well just go ahead and replace them. We can't line them. They're not lineable. That's what the problem is with them. It would be great if we could line them, but it's just, they're such bad shape. Nothing on Gulf Boulevard has been worked on in a long time. Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Blackburn.
All righty. Let's start with the fire and EMS report since Chief Burford is here. If you would do the honors.
Sure, absolutely. So for the month of December 2020, we had 3 non-emergency fire responses for an average response time of 9 minutes and 12 seconds. Keep in mind that for emergency response times, we're contractually obligated to average 7.5 minutes or less 9% of the time. There were 6 emergency fire responses in that time period for an average response of 5 minutes and 47 seconds. In the EMS area, we had 4 non-emergency EMS responses for an average response time of 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That is pretty darn good. And there were 14 emergency EMS responses for an average response time of 4 minutes and 57 seconds. The entire report has been submitted to Commissioner Blackburn for review.
Great, thank you so much. All righty. Public Works, Brad, our employee, has been out. We're going to know more by the 25th of January what's going on there. And in the meantime, we have someone filling in that was referred to us by Bill Queen, our next door neighbor at North Redington Beach. So real grateful for that. He's a hard worker, I tell you. We could use, speaking of which, we could use more Publix plastic bag donations for the doggy stations. So if you save up your Publix and Walgreens bags, bring up here to Town Hall. I've been leaving them on that table back there on the way out the door by the little lunchroom. And let's see. Also, we're starting clean out of the shop to prep for the tear down of the old station, the old shop. We'll be moving temporarily into a couple of, I guess, like pods. Yeah, like trailers. We'll be moving our stuff in there, but he'll be cleaning out a bunch of stuff first. He and the fellow that's sort of filling in for Brad, they're going to start that this week, if Steve hasn't started it already. We had a bunch of trees and bushes removed in Constitution Park. We had some problems up there in the pavilion. First of all, that little brick cutout with, and I think a lot of it was, it was hidden from the road by some of the overgrown bushes and things like that. So we took those out, and it's really nice to drive by and be able to see everything in Constitution Park. We'll be working later with the Parks and Rec Committee to see about if we want to even replace anything there. New landscaping plans for both the parks, but that's down the road. We also had to cut some branches back on 174th Avenue and 174th Terrace. They were really hanging over into the street, and buses or big trucks would have to go around in order to get down the street. Let's see here. Delma Spitzer Park. Steve is going to fix it for now. It has gotten kind of overgrown. But because of that and some other things, we're revisiting our current contract with our provider, Dean Environmental. The problem is we need the same people every time so that there's more consistency. So it's like a constant thing of retraining, and it's causing problems. So we're going to revisit that, Mary and I. The dock repairs are going to be on the agenda at the workshop on the 27th, and probably be discussing a little bit of the possibility of a dog park at the same time. And that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. I'm sorry. The ceiling tiles. We contacted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 different companies. 4 companies came out, took measurements. 2 never got back to us with quotes at all, with numbers at all. The only ones that did were Noose and Reuter. And for the acoustical, and all we want them to do is replace the acoustical ceiling tiles. The grids are okay. There's a couple of places where they need some repair, but not a ton. The Noose, who was the first one to come out, the first he quoted us to replace exactly what we have, to put back up exactly what we have now, which is the Armstrong 1761. That has a noise reduction of 55. But he also gave us the option of an alternate, this Rockfon Pacific that we included in your packet. That has a noise reduction of 60. He described it like this, and actually it's less expensive, even though the noise reduction is higher. It's because it's a new product that they're introducing here. They've been using it in Europe quite a bit, but they're just introducing it here. So they've got a special on it basically. So by going with that, we get a higher noise cancellation and a discount of $2,060. Noose is also only charging us $3,395 for the installation. He's not charging us for removing the old stuff. He's just charging us to add the new, put in new insulation. He's also including the dumpster for the old stuff. That's included in his price, and that's $12,115. The other company, we have to get a dumpster that's about $500. He's using a product, this USG product also has a 55 noise cancellation. So if you add the $500 for the dumpster back in, that's his $11,000. I recommend that we go with the Noose for a couple of reasons. He's the only one that was conscientious enough and really followed up, number one. Number two, he's closer. They're out of Seminole. I feel like businesses in Seminole. Am I going to, did I jump ahead?
It's okay.
Okay. All right. Anyway, the businesses in Seminole versus this other guy is out of Tampa. I think supporting businesses just over the bridge. Those are people that frequent the beach that I think we should be more loyal to the people that are closer to us. That's it.
I make a motion that we hire new acoustical ceilings to replace the ceiling tiles. Didn't really think about doing it because I think long-term when it comes to construction and hardening of the building, we'll have to take them all out. But I think that they can probably be stacked and reused if we get into hardening the roof anyway. And in my construction experience, this price is not bad for that. This is pretty good bid. So I make a motion, we accept this bid.
Somebody want a second?
I'll second it. I'm just a little confused because I thought it
Motion is
was,
second. You can talk now.
I'm sorry, yes, on discussion. No, I thought we were going to bring that up in their new business, so.
That's okay.
It's my fault.
It's
my
okay.
fault.
It's okay.
I got excited.
Commissioner
You did good with
Kwiatkowski?
this.
Yes,
Oh, okay, you have your microphone. I didn't see it. Okay, good.
yes.
Sorry.
You did good with this.
Thanks, Dad.
Yes, nice job.
Not quite.
Okay, any further discussion?
So this is a capital outlay project and it comes from those funds.
Yep.
That's just the point that
I mean, you can see that they're sagging
Oh,
and
they're
it's
terrible.
starting to
Staying.
affect the grid in the hallway over
Yep.
there.
Yeah, it's a little,
Sherry almost got hit by him.
Yeah.
it's unsightly too.
If we wait, the
But
grids
we
are going to
did,
be
we
a
tried to
problem.
do this many moons ago.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
didn't ever happen.
Okay.
So,
That's
Mayor,
it.
you want to call roll?
Commissioner Blackburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Neal?
Yes.
Commissioner Kwiatkowski?
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, Commissioner Kwiatkowski, you're up.
yep. Well, I continue to introduce myself to the district as the newly appointed commissioner. This last, I guess, 40 some odd days since we last met. Also, after we met, I mailed out and distributed, walked through again and introduced myself with my new newsletter, commissioner newsletter for District 4. On December the 10th, I completed the Florida Ethics Training course via webinar. So Mary got my certificate, so I think I'm in compliance with that. And I'm also received an invitation from the Clearwater and St. Petersburg Bar Association for a forum that's going to be held on law for public officials on January the 29th. So I've already signed up for that. And Mary, thank you again for helping me get that done. So that's my report for today.
Okay, all right. Under old business, I'm going to open the public hearing. And the first item is the second reading and advertised public hearing of ordinance 21-01.
Ordinance number 21-01, an ordinance of the town of Redding Shores, Florida, amending section 124-7 of the code of the town of Redding Shores, Florida, pertaining to sewer rates, providing for severability, providing for inclusion of such amended ordinance in the code of the town of Redding Shores, Florida, providing an effective date.
And I would move that we approve ordinance 21.
Public hearing, any public comment?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We gotta take, Cinda?
Oh, yeah, public comment before we make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, either way, I just want to make sure that.
Oh, no, I know, yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna do that. So we'll go ahead and make the motion.
I'm sorry.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 21-01, the sewer usage rate.
Second,
Motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, a second by Commissioner Blackburn. Cinda?
Okay, so it is time now for public comment on this issue. If anyone has any comments, I'm getting, they have 3 minutes to speak. And, geez, do you hear this?
what'd you say?
Do you hear the feedback?
No, we don't hear anything
You
over
don't hear it
here.
at all.
Oh, you don't hear anything? Okay.
We have to adopt that too.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you. but
Oh,
we don't
okay.
hear No feedback at all.
Okay. So we have, the public has 3 minutes to make comment. Anyone who would like to speak, they need to raise their hand. If you're on the telephone and you have one telephone participant, you would just press *6. There are 17 attendees right now at the meeting, and I have one hand raised. So I will ask for that person to begin. I'll address your name. I would ask that you state your name and address, and then when you begin to speak, I will time you for 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when the time is up. So our first person to speak is William Blackburn. You can unmute yourself, William, and begin to speak.
I just wanted to let you know that there's very significant feedback. That's all I had to say.
Okay, let me close that door over there.
Well, I don't think that might, I don't honestly don't think. Cinda, does anybody, on, as an attendee, have maybe a computer and a phone on?
If there is an attendee, there is one phone attendee at 641-0469. Would that person also have a video device on as well?
But they're muted. They shouldn't affect feedback, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't.
It should be, that's what I'm saying.
Is there something maybe in here? Maybe, is that a sound bar or something maybe doing anything?
We could just start it.
No, I know we do. I'm just asking.
See if that helps at all.
How's that, Cinda?
Let me see. Oh, no. That's-
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, that might have been it.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry for that irritating feedback. So let us see there. Right now, there are no citizens wishing to speak on this subject. Let me give it one more second. And I think we're good. We are done with public comment for this time. Thanks.
Okay, so we are closing the public hearing at this point, and we can take the vote. Mary?
Commissioner Blackburn,
yeah.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasinski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, now we will, Now we will have to pass a resolution because the ordinance said we have to do the rates by resolution, so.
Yeah, there is companion resolution of this. The ordinance, as the mayor said, states that the rates will be set by resolution. So the resolution is resolution number 01-21. A resolution of the town commission of the town of Redington Shores, Florida pertaining to sewer rates. Rescinding resolution number 01-20, establishing the rates for sewer service pursuant to section 124-7 and the code of ordinances of the town of Redington Shores, Florida, establishing an effective date.
And I would make a motion that we accept resolution 1-21.
I'll second it.
A motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, a second by Commissioner Krasinski. Any discussion? Do you have anyone out there that wants to speak, Simba?
Let's see. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this subject? No, I believe we're fine. Thank you.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasinski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks.
Okay, the third item is designated replacement point person to serve as a liaison for the complaint.
So that point person was originally Commissioner Pat Drum, who has since resigned since the original complaint surfaced from District 3, my district. I would suggest that I'm probably the appropriate person to represent the commission.
I make a motion that we appoint Vice Mayor Robinson to be the point person on that.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Blackburn, second by Commissioner Krasinski. Any discussion?
Yes, there is. It's my belief this item is on the agenda for political reasons only. The town commission should have never been involved in the complaint from the beginning. The original complainant should have been advised to submit the complaint to the Florida Commission on Ethics as was suggested by our attorney at November meeting in 2019. Instead, it was submitted by our commission, and with that, the liability of the result is thrown into the laps of the residents of this town. I have the result of this investigation right here in my hand, the results. And I will release them as soon as they are released by the Ethics Commission. These matters are personal and confidential, and there were innocent people involved, and I will do my utmost to protect their right to privacy. You know, I want you to think about something too while we're going on here. The agenda item shows up 6 weeks prior to a mayoral election in which I am a qualified candidate. The ethics complaint against the mayor, which was adjudicated June 10th, 2020, never showed up as an agenda item for a commission meeting. This whole complaint from the onslaught was ego fueled by our current mayor in an effort to discredit me and my reputation in this town. Since she has been in office, she has caused and initiated the resignation, termination, or transfer of numerous town employees, all for personal and political reasons or gain. Needless to say, the morale of the town employees is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
Hang on, that's,
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I got floor. I got
Nope.
floor.
that's political. This is
I
a
don't think
political
that is
attack against your opponent.
This is facts.
Make your statement about what was brought up, and that's
Okay.
it.
One thing I can say for sure, I'm probably the most vetted mayoral candidate in Redington Shores history.
That's political. This is so inappropriate. I do not appreciate that.
May I?
Yes, you may.
So I brought this complaint back before the commission because I believe, and the commission believed, and the commission so voted, that we had a responsibility to our citizens and we had a responsibility to the town to ensure that any ethical complaint or issue was addressed and it was handled appropriately
And I agree.
by
to
the
that.
ethics
I agree.
commission.
I agree to
And
that.
so, would you like- excuse me, I have the
You
floor.
You be quiet, let him talk.
But one person at a time, please, so that the tape can get. what
Thank
you're
you.
saying.
So let me finish.
Okay, I'm good.
So the commission voted that we should move this complaint to the Ethics Commission. And that with advice from the Ethics Commission and advice from our counsel, that in order to do that, a member of the commission needed to represent the commission and be the complainant on the case. Commissioner Drum volunteered to do that. The commission voted to appoint Commissioner Drum for that purpose. Commissioner Drum recently resigned. There is a necessity to appoint a new commissioner to represent that complaint to the Ethics Commission. That's the purpose for it being on the agenda. That and that purpose alone, that reason alone is why it is on the agenda.
Okay. I think nothing. That's good.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, there was a motion
Yeah,
and a
you made it.
second, so we need a
We
vote on
already
it,
did that, right?
unless there's any discussion, other further discussion. I second the motion.
Yeah, no, I agreed to it when we originally sent it to Tallahassee. I didn't disagree with that. And the investigation's over in Tallahassee.
Well, then what did you make it about this evening? That's all I have to say. Okay,
I make a motion. We need to vote on that first, and then I have a motion. Go ahead.
what was that?
Nothing.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes,
Commissioner Neal,
Yes,
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes,
Mayor Henderson.
Yes.
I make a motion that since you got your political rant out, that we figure out how much time you were allowed to do that and give equal time to your opponent.
that's fine.
Well,
I don't care to do that.
I,
It's
I was,
wrong.
I was going to say one thing, and I generally try to speak when spoken to. But just, I know there is a contested election going on for mayor. I know the two candidates are seated to my right and left, but it is not proper for a town hall or the town facilities such as the internet to be utilized for campaigning by either one of you. So all I was going to ask is, please don't have that occurring in the future, because I don't want either one of you to get in trouble for that.
I apologize to the residents of Redington Shores for my effort.
Seems like it should be to me.
Or
I
the
apologize
commission.
to Mayor Henderson.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the third item, update on the return of the fireworks deposit and the paint fee. I believe that's you. Are you done, Mark?
I thought somebody else was going to be discussing this as far as
I didn't-
Mr.
I
Speed
have.
and the fireworks. I suggested that you all may want to consider it again, because we have had absolutely no response from Mr. Speed to our correspondence to him. I know he addressed the commission and stated that some fireworks were going to be sold perhaps for New Year's. New Year's has come and gone. I don't know whether anything else has been done. If the commission wishes us to go ahead and file a small claim against him to obtain a judgment, we will be glad to do so. I just suggested this be back on the agenda for your discussion to see if you want us to do anything right now or not.
So the last communication we had was when he, at that meeting, came forward and said he thought he could sell. He's had no other communication at all.
I've heard nothing at all.
have we reached out to him and asked him for some follow-up, since he did bring it up prior to the New Year's celebration that he's referring to?
I believe he was supposed to update us at that following meeting,
Okay.
and that did not occur.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should
Maybe we should just try to reach out
him
first
before we
we.
pull that trigger on
Exactly. Yeah, I would
You know, what I
prefer
might
that.
suggest is, and I think we already drafted up and sent to them, or drafted up anyway, but draft, if you all wish to, that before we file suit, that I would send him a copy of the suit and say the commission's authorized this. This is the next step, unless he is serious about reimbursing the town for the deposit that he stated would be reimbursed.
That's
so,
Sounds good
so
to
your,
me.
so your suggestion, if I got that straight, is that you draft a letter which says, here's what we're prepared to file. We haven't heard from you. We don't hear from you. This is
Yeah, I
moving
think I
forward.
probably already got it drafted. but
Okay.
But I guess what I'm suggesting is that the commission needs to go ahead and make a decision. Do you wish to file suit if that's what's necessary? And if you say yes, then the next step that I would do before I actually went to the courthouse and filed the suit would be to send a copy of it to him and say the commission has authorized this, pay up or else it's going to be filed. I don't want to file suit unnecessarily, but it seems to me like it's progressed to that point at this point.
So
So-
could this be maybe the last?
So I would make a motion that we authorize Attorney Denhart to contact the Mr. Speed and inform him that if we don't get reimbursement or hear from him forthwith, we are intent on filing. And so I guess the motion would be that Commissioner Denhart is authorized to file, Attorney Denhart. is-
I'm not the
Nobody wants to do that.
No, you're just the power. That we authorize you to move forward with a court action if Mr. Speed does not respond positively to your.
Yeah, and I would tell you that I would probably send it to him and give him 30 days.
Okay, I was gonna ask, is there some kind of time limit that would set on that? I think that's reasonable. Okay, thank you.
So then the motion would be that Attorney Denhart is authorized to contact Mr. Speed and inform him that he has 30 days with which to resolve this matter, and if not, he may then he's authorized to file suit.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, second by Commissioner Krasinski. Any discussion? Cinda, I don't know if Mr. Speed happens to be on the line. That would be interesting. See
That would
if they're
nice.
able to-
That would be great.
Or
Yep.
someone speak out there.
Is his name again is Ken Speed. If you are on the line, we would please ask you as an attendee to speak. I don't see him, but there are a couple phone numbers.
Does
Okay.
anyone want to speak?
No hands being raised.
Okay.
I don't believe he's present.
We're just need to give him his deposit back? Is this what we're talking about according to this?
No, get
No,
it
he's
back.
giving us-
No,
Power.
Get
We're
the
getting it
deposit back
back.
from him.
Okay. Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasinski,
yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes,
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, under new business, it's resolution 02-21.
Resolution number 02-21, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Reading Shores, Florida, referring to proposed applications and ordinances for a proposed zoning amendment and proposed land use plan map amendment to the code of the Town of Reading Shores, which pertain to land development to the Planning and Zoning Board, sitting as the local planning agency for review and recommendation, providing a time period for the local planning agency to report to the Board of Commissioners, providing for an effective date.
And this is what I was speaking of earlier, is that 50% thing, the 5-year cumulative, pulling it down to a 1-year cumulative, it has to go to the LPA.
correct.
So that's all this is basically saying, just so that you understand where we are.
So I would move to approve resolution 2-21 referring the proposed zoning and land use map amendment application and ordinance to the LPA. Oh, no, that's not for that
Oh,
one.
Sorry, this is, the computer.
This is, oh, wait, yes,
Sorry.
That may be later, but
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah, sorry.
resolution refers to the applications that have been made for the rezoning of what's
Yeah, you're
referred to as the
right,
pier
sorry.
property.
yeah,
To the
which is
local
that
planning.
17490 Gulf Boulevard.
Okay, and you just make,
I just made the motion. A motion to, yeah. A motion to approve resolution 2-21 referring proposed zoning and land use map amendment application and ordinance to the LPA. And that relates to 17490 Gulf Boulevard.
I second it.
motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, second by Commissioner Fryerski. Any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yeah.
Commissioner Neal,
Yeah.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay. The second item is the approval of the state highway lighting agreement. Do you know about that or do you want?
Yeah, I talked with Mary about it, and this is an annual item that we receive, and we receive it periodically, correct, Mary? From the state with regarding highway lighting on Gulf Boulevard, and it's their reimbursement for us for maintaining that.
So we just need to.
Yeah, so I would move that we approve that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, seconded by Commissioner Fryerski. Any other discussion? Do we know how much it usually brings in?
Well, it's funny, Mary Beth, I was just gonna ask that
I
on the
can't
question.
remember, I want to say it's like
I'm
10 or
looking at the
$11,000.
budget right here.
11,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Any discussion? Linda? Want to see if anybody has anything to say on that item?
Here we go. Okay. If there are any attendees who would like to speak, they have 3 minutes at this time. Please raise your hand or press *6 if you're on the phone. We have 16 attendees right now and none wishing to speak at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mary, please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal.
Yeah.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, the next item is approval of recommended changes to the Gulf Beaches Library. Do you want to talk about that?
sure. So we received in our packet a letter that was drafted as a result of a meeting that took place by all 5 mayors of the towns that support the Gulf Beaches Library. And we were presented with some recommendations regarding the use of funds of the library, the composition of the Board of Trustees, and so on and so forth. So before we move on this, I wanted to let you know that I did speak personally to 2 of the mayors. Prior to this, by the way, the Mayor Henderson and I have not spoken about this. I'm cognizant of the requirements associated with speaking with her about this. Also, since well, it would have been, 2 of the towns have already officially approved this, North Redington Beach and Redington Beach. In fact, Redington Beach Mayor has gone on record, and there was an article in the Beaches, the Beach Beacon, regarding his favor in continuing to keep the library as an ongoing entity. And then there's been also, my understanding is, I haven't had a chance to find it yet, but I was told that the mayor from Madeira Beach had also been quoted as in favor of it, and there was an article in the Beach Beacon regarding that. So after my discussions with the 2 mayors and then what I've been able to research, it's clear to me that the mayors are all in favor of keeping the Gulf Beaches Library going. There are some things that I personally have talked to Vince, who's the director, since I've been on the board. I've only attended 1 meeting since my appointment because there's only been 1 meeting. We are having a meeting next Monday. So I just want to make sure, and I want it to be for the record before we vote. And I want this to, and I'm going to read my statement. I'm in favor of this the favor of the recommendations that have been placed before us. I wish to have the record reflect that I'm voting in favor of these recommendations based on my understanding that the mayors of the 5 towns believe the recommendations will lay the foundation to upgrade the library facilities including investments in the latest technology, thereby ensuring that the future longevity and operation of Gulf beaches in the future.
And I
So-
think it's also important to talk about Treasure Island and that they were in negotiations to leave the
Yes.
Gulf Beaches Library. So we had to do something.
Yes, some of that predated me. I know, but believe me, when this came on the agenda and then in my research, I spent a lot of time in Googling out
Yeah, but they-
all
they
the
just-
history associated
Right,
with
but
the
they-
library.
They literally just this year were
Right.
considering leaving. So
Right.
that is what kind of led to this whole.
Yes. So
We just need to keep Treasure Island, and we need to keep our library moving. and moving
absolutely,
forward.
and I have, since I've been a resident here, almost 5 years now, I probably visited 90% of the libraries everywhere from Clearwater Beach to Largo to our Gulf Beaches. In fact, that's where I got my library card, and my wife got hers, and my daughter was most recently got hers. And I'm a strong proponent of the future of the library. And yes, there are some things that need to get done. And as Mayor Henderson said, I think part of the concern from the previous mayors, or I should say not previous, but in the past, the mayors had previously stated that they felt there needed to be some investments to upgrade and bring the library into the latest as far as leveraging technology. And given that, and there are funds associated with that, it would not cost us more money. Right now, our budget that we contribute to is just under 2% of the overall operating budget. It's 1.7 to be exact. We are the third largest contributor to the library. Treasure Island is number 1, Madeira Beach is number 2, and we are number 3. And we are actually the 3 Redingtons just about match what Treasure Island contributes. So hands down, and I thank you, Mary Beth, for Mayor bringing that up. It's important for us to keep Treasure Island happy. But based on my understanding that what we plan to do with some of the funds that are out there that have been donated to the library over the years is over $1 million, by the way, just for everybody to understand what we're talking about. And I think that's money that can be well spent and not encumber any more expenses on our residents as we sit here today. So with that, I would move that the recommendations from the 5 mayors be accepted.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Kieski, a second by Vice Mayor Robinson. Any discussion?
Just the Treasure Island, I used to be on the Friends of the Beach Library. And it was always our worry about Treasure Island. And so I'm really glad they're sticking with it.
Well, and part of it is they want to see it
It's an awesome library.
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah.
Because St. Pete Beach is updating right now and just, they were definitely moving toward going that way. So
Yeah.
literally, we jumped in.
You can do
saved
books
them
on
from
tape for
leaving.
free, Kindle books for free to
Right.
the library. It's
Right.
amazing.
One other thing too, pointing out, when Treasure Island made that, I should say recommendation or offered up to participate, it was my understanding, and I think it was the director's idea, they actually put a kiosk in Treasure Island to help with
Yeah.
getting the residents, since they are actually also the farthest away logistically from the Gulf Beaches, both Gulf Beaches Library. So I think we can find some other ways, including a strategic plan and some other things to start to put together a program to enrich and leverage, like I said earlier, the technology that we have out there available, including such maybe an internet cafe. So I've got some ideas. I've also sought out from my constituents some recommendations about how we can move forward. And my understanding is that's somewhat in line with the other 2 mayors that I spoke with personally. And I don't know what else I can say about it.
Yeah, so I have some questions with regard to it. You know, I seconded the motion, but only so I could get to where I could have some discussion about it.
Sure.
Okay, so these recommendations include that they will reduce the board members from 10 to 5,
Yes.
and that Madeira Beach is going to draft a new interlocal agreement
Right.
that will be renewed every 5 years. So when that occurs, is that when this this interlocal agreement then will, when it takes place, will that be the point when they reduce the board to,
Yes,
from 10 to
okay.
5 and put these other,
Correct. So these are recommendations, and actually, since there are a set of bylaws, as well as the interlocal agreement, both of those documents will have to be updated. And I'm not a lawyer, but Jim Denhart, if you want to step in, because I know in the past you've been involved with the library and also been involved, I think, with Treasure Island. So you might want to shed some light on it and make sure I'm not misquoting.
Yes, and I've spoken with you about this several times over the past few weeks, and the recommendations that are made, assuming they're adopted by the 5 communities, they're going to have to be put in effect. The bylaws now, they probably say 9 or 10 directors. And
That's correct.
obviously that
That's
needs
correct.
to be changed unless it says up to. So there'll probably be some amendments with that. And yeah, I was the attorney at Treasure Island once when I know they raised some issues, and that got resolved 20 years ago, or at least temporarily resolved, I guess. So, no, there's some things that I don't think there's any problem here. The library
Yeah.
has a long-term lease with Madeira Beach that was renewed and is a.
That's right. It's a 60 year,
it's a long-
20,060.
Yeah.
It
So-
runs through.
And we just recently did that
Yes.
a couple years ago.
yeah, and so as I understand it, there's plenty of money in reserve, so all these upgrades and work can be done with that without any impact on what any of us are contributing. So
Right.
I think it's a good move.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
It's always a bad idea to have an even number of voters.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Even numbered committees, commissioners too included.
Okay.
Motions first, is a motion and second.
We've got the second, we've got discussion.
Any discussion from, I'd be interested to see if any of our,
Linda, do you have anybody out there?
anybody out there that would like to contribute from the group? Or
Yes, we
citizens?
do have, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we do have one attendee who would like to speak on this subject. You have 3 minutes, and I'm just going to unmute you and ask that you state your name and address. And when you begin to speak, I will begin to time you for your 3 minutes. And this is Carol Music. Carol, please introduce yourself, unmute yourself, and you may speak.
I'm sorry, is this about the library?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry, I was about the one before, so I'll just wait till the end.
Okay, thank you, Carol. We have 13 attendees. No other one has asked to speak, so we can move on.
Mary, please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn.
Yes.
Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski.
Yes,
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we have, I think 3 new business items that are not on the agenda, if I'm not mistaken. Senator Bernhardt?
Well, first, as you know, the commission is in the process of doing something to change your flood ordinance to try to assist the residents in getting back into their homes as easy and as quickly as possible. We have prepared along the lines of what you've done, a proposed amendment to your floodplain ordinance, and that needs to be reviewed by your planning and zoning board sitting as your local planning agency as well. So since they're going to be meeting, we have a resolution, if I can read, that has the same as the other resolution that would refer this proposed ordinance to the LPA for their consideration. So if I may, it's resolution number 03-21, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Redding Shores, Florida, referring a proposed ordinance to the code of the Town of Redding Shores pertaining flood damage prevention to the Planning and Zoning Board, sitting as the local planning agency for review and recommendations, providing a time period for the local planning agency to report to the Board of Commissioners, providing an effective date.
And I would move adoption of resolution number 3-21.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, second by Commissioner Neal. Any discussion? Linda? Anybody out? in the audience have anything to say?
If there are any attendees that would like to speak on this subject, please raise your hand at this time or press *6 if you're on the phone. Okay, we have 13 attendees and none at this time wishing to speak on this subject.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal,
Yeah.
Commissioner Krasinski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
And that ordinance will need to be advertised, so I assume it'll be before you at your next commission meeting for consideration for first reading. The next thing I have concerns an ordinance that I would like to present to you that I've discussed with each other and that you have are two minor amendments to your vacation rental ordinance that would have the effect, if this ordinance is adopted, would have the effect of amending your vacation rental ordinance by deleting the requirement that any fee be paid for somebody to register a vacation rental, and also would delete the provision in your current ordinance that states that inspections can be made by the town at any time. Inspections could be done pursuant to an inspection warrant if necessary. We believe that those are very minor items in the current ordinance and probably are no consequence to the town in effect, and would assist the ordinance in being more enforceable in the future. So we would recommend those changes. I did present to each of you the ordinance, and if I could go ahead and read that. It's ordinance number 21-03. An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Redding Shores, Florida, pertaining to the regulation of vacation rentals, amending section 90-116 of the Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And I would suggest passing that on first reading tonight. There is a companion resolution to refer it also to the local planning agency, so they'll have enough to do at their next meeting. And then if this ordinance is passed on first reading tonight, it can be on for second reading at your next meeting.
Yes, I would move to accept the ordinance number 21-3, as well as move it to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration.
The planning and zoning part will be the next resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was all in one. I thought
This is the first part of it.
all right, fine. I'm in my motion then to restrict it to the ordinance number 21-03.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Krasinski, and second by Vice Mayor Robinson. Any discussion amongst the commission?
I'm happy we're reversing this, because this is two of the reasons why I voted no on the whole ordinance to start with.
Any other discussion with the commission? Sandra, would you please ask the attendees?
Are there any attendees? We have 13 that would like to speak on this subject. I have one attendee raising their hand at this time, Leslie Kopic. I just ask that you restate your name, your address, know that you have 3 minutes to speak, and I will begin to time you when you begin to speak. So you can unmute yourself at this time, Leslie.
Thank you. I didn't see this on the agenda, so I apologize. Is this making it where the town cannot inspect the property and there's no list of the people who are staying? Do I understand that correctly?
I'm sorry, before we start though, can you please state your name, your address and everything? I'm sorry, I didn't hear who was speaking.
That's okay. I apologize. My name is Leslie Kopic and I live at 17819 Lee Avenue at Redington Shores. And we have several rental properties around us that have large groups of people staying. So I'm just trying to understand what the changes exactly mean for us as residents who live nearby this situations that continue to go on up and down our street.
Yeah, I'll be glad to try to answer those. What the ordinance does, this current ordinance, it would delete the requirement from the original ordinance that people that register, they would still be required to register, but it would delete the requirement that they have to pay a registration fee to obtain a permit. It would delete the language in the current ordinance that states that the town can go in and inspect basically at any time vacation rental properties. The applicant would add that the applicant, when they get a permit, have to fill out a sketch of their property showing how many bedrooms, bathrooms, that sort of thing. So the town knows that the number of occupants would exist within the confines of the ordinance, or would be under the limit in the ordinance. And as far as the inspection, the town would still have the right under state law, if it felt that there were violations of the properties, the town would have the right to request an inspection warrant under Florida statute in order to get a judge to say, yes, it's okay if the town goes in and inspects to make sure the properties are in compliance. So the changes, in our opinion, are not major, they're not drastic. The basic requirements of the ordinance still remain in effect.
Okay. Well, I would state for the record that I live in the CTF district and have for over 15 years, and I would be opposed to the changes, mainly because it's a small area of us that have to deal with the CTF district. And I just really feel like we had those in there for a specific reason. One thing, the overuse of people staying and the protection of the guest as well, that places are safe and are used correctly. I mean, recently a neighbor had someone out using the restroom in the back because the 3 restrooms in the property were being used by their guests. So people were, relieving themselves out in the back for the rest of us to see it in the neighborhood. So I really don't think people realize how tough it is to live in the CTF district when we have, several large rentals, townhomes that are going on. I would probably be opposed to the changes.
And if I could, I don't believe that the scenario that you've laid out would be affected at all by these changes.
I think the only thing is that sometimes people say that maybe they have 3 bedrooms. And if we're not inspecting continuously or occasionally or once a year when they re-permit, you'd be surprised people turn hallways into bedrooms. If you can only have a certain number of guests, that would make sense. But if you're able to have 20 guests, you're not, nobody at the town is going to be there other than us calling the police to say people are out using the restroom, because actually the property sleeps, 17 instead of the 14 allowed by that particular property. So if we can't get in and inspect, I do think it kind of affects those of us that live in the area.
Excuse me, Leslie, your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you, Cinda.
Thank you.
Jim, I'm sorry.
I have one more. I have one more resident who would like to speak. Hang on, let me stop my device here. Carol Music, I am going to unmute you. Please state your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Carol Music, 17820 Lee Avenue. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm probably the big blue house that Leslie's talking about across the street from her. I would think whether it's my house or anybody else's house, her house, anybody, if somebody uses the bathroom in the back of their house, I would think that that would be a public nuisance and somebody should call the police about that anyway, whether it's your personal house, whether it's a rental house or anything else. There are already laws in place for that. The fact is that it really is against Florida statute to put a number of people in a rental house other than for fire protection. And that's why we're suing the city over that. So as far as noise goes, as far as any other things, there are already laws on the books in this town and in any other town regarding those issues. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Carol. And we have one more resident with their hand raised. That is Sal Celeste. And Sal, please state your name, your address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak. You may unmute yourself and begin to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Great. Salvatore Celeste, 17814 Lee Avenue. And I'm very much opposed to these changes, especially the inspection changes. I've been a resident of Redington Shores for about 2 years, and I've had the opportunity to experience life in the CTF zone firsthand. And I'd like to share some of those observations with this committee. One of the owners on Lee Ave who owns a rental, and we've heard from her this evening, believes she's being unfairly singled out. That couldn't be further from the truth. And we're going to talk about one of the other rentals tonight. For example, just last week, one of those townhouses on the other side of my home on Lee Ave had no less than 18 adults and 5 children staying there. The place was so crowded that apparently there weren't enough bathrooms for all the guests. So me and my guests were treated to watching these renters actually leave the house to go outside to urinate in the side yard of my house. Last month, there was a wedding or some other related function, and again, there was a lot of guests. This time, a professional photographer, knowing that we weren't home at the time, took one of the female guests, I guess it was the bride, and brought all of her photo equipment and decided to use my yard for a photo shoot that lasted about 30 minutes. In order to do this, a chain with a no trespassing sign was removed to gain access to my yard. And if that wasn't enough, apparently they didn't want my landscape lighting in the photos, so they decided it was okay to pull them out. I won't even get into how much trash I've had to clean up or the countless lewd acts that my family and I have had to put up with over the past 2 years. These are presumed to be single-family homes, not de facto overcapacity hotels for transient renters. Some of these homes have even been modified, perhaps even illegally, to accommodate a huge number of guests and are actually being promoted on websites like hotel.com. These supposed single-family homes are accommodating more guests with less parking than the Siesta at the end of the street. And that's an actual hotel. Think about that for a minute. You know, I speak for most of the residents of this district when I say this abuse of the CTF has to stop. Regardless of the CTF zone designation, we are entitled to quiet enjoyment of our homes, and we should be subjected to all-night parties, excessive noise, trash strewn onto our properties, lewd behavior, trespassers, illegal parking, and vandalism. Calling the police every few days is not an acceptable solution. We are not here to be sentinels for the rental owners. If anyone has any doubt about what I'm saying, this has all been captured on my security cameras. Look, I have no problem with home rentals and the occasional bad renter. I have several rentals myself on this island, so I get it. But this is a perpetual problem from those using the CTF zone that profit at the expense of the families that live here. They get their rent check, but we, the residents, have to live with the consequences. These overcapacity rentals are becoming a real problem. I've attended virtually every town meeting since we've moved here, and I've also made my opinions known at a few of them. And that leads me to my question.
Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, let me see if anyone else has their hand raised to speak. At this time, no more hands are raised. Let me give it just a moment. We have 13 attendees still with us. No, we have no more residents wishing to speak, so I think we can move on. Thank you all.
Right to inspect. Gonna affect what his problem is.
Because from what he said, they're, instead of abiding by, then you would be able to tell if there's extra beds in there. They're being more careful. I think these types of abuses, they're being more careful about the pictures that they put on Facebook and VRBO and Airbnb and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. One of the things we did was limited the number of guests per property, and it looks like that's being abused. The only way I know of to fix that is to go in and inspect. But that's how they're affected. That's how they feel they're affected, that they wanted that inspection to try to protect them from this.
So understand that the registration requires that property owner to identify the number of bedrooms which are there, and that then drives the number of people which you can have at that residence. You can't, after the fact, say, oh, I'm adding another bedroom, and then up your occupancy, because your occupancy load is driven by the registration. So you can't change that after the fact. If you were changing that after the fact, it would require, one, a building permit in order to add a bedroom to your property. So that is controlled. So you can still address all of the other issues. You can still revoke a person's registration based upon violations of the ordinance. So all of that stands.
Mhm.
And as Attorney Denhart indicated, we still have the ability to inspect. It just requires a little more due process, meaning we have to go to court, get a court order to do that, as opposed to being able to walk in at any time when we so desire. So,
Which does not interfere with anybody's constitutional rights.
Right.
correct.
Yeah, so actually, I'm very sympathetic, please. I don't want this to be somehow put out in the papers that somehow I'm not sympathetic to what's been discussed, because I would be just as annoyed as the residents that spoke about this. Well, I'm a little confused here because I think we're kind of muddying the waters here a little bit with this discussion. And I would prefer Attorney Denhart to restate this also, because I got a feeling too, based on the way this conversation is going, it might wind up in a headline that might not necessarily be actually favorable to the town of Redington Shores. So I don't see anything in here which precludes us from completing an inspection or having an inspection except to go through due process, correct, Attorney Denhart?
I'm not sure I understood you completely, but yes, you would still have the right to ask for an inspection warrant, and under the circumstances that you heard described in the speaker, certainly that would, if there's evidence of that sort of thing, that would seem to give probable cause on which a judge would grant an inspection warrant.
Right. So
if there appears to be a violation of the limitation on the number of residents, or if somebody adds bedrooms or whatever. So,
so
in our opinion, the town is not, it's not weakening the ordinance, but it's also helping to strengthen the chances that the main portions of the ordinance would be upheld by court if ever challenged.
right. So we're talking about section 2, paragraph B, I think if I got this right, or C, excuse me, and I guess, paragraph 5, which talks to inspections, correct? Because that's being stricken from the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that in effect, if it were me, and I think Jeff might have alluded to this, I think that's a good thing by taking and removing this.
I mean,
The
as you can see, the main requirements of the ordinance
still stand. That's right. So we're not changing the rest of the ordinance as it relates to that. So, and then paragraph. Okay. There's another section under section F, paragraph 12, and that's to do with compliance with all laws. That information has been stricken, but it still doesn't weaken it. And then the other piece that was changed here was under the fees, where we've in effect under paragraph C, subparagraph 1, about the application of submitted from the town. There's no requirement now for a fee. So I'm strongly in favor of this, and as I put forth the motion, in no way, shape, or form do I think this dilutes our ability to inspect, but under due process, and is not in any way, shape, or form loosening by any stretch of the imagination the rights of the individuals who have these properties.
Commissioner Kajewski, I just want to interject that for these residents, so what will happen is the violators, the repeat offenders that try to skirt this all the time, if let's say they have, like I think it was Leslie was saying, 18 people when they're supposed to have 14, or 22 when they're supposed to have 14. If you have to go through the additional steps, I'm just saying why they're objecting. I'm not saying it's bad that we take these things out. I can understand from their perspective. They know that what's gonna happen is they'll complain, then we have to go through more steps to get in there and inspect. By that time, they just back a van up and cart out all the extra mattresses and act like they're playing nice.
Well, I guess,
No,
and I'm
but-
not gonna put the chief on the spot here, but I'd like his opinion about whether or not a resident has the right, especially with some of the, I'll call it indecent goings on on the property, that they don't have the right to call the chief and have somebody come out. But maybe I misunderstood that too.
Well, they have the right to call the police department. I don't want them all calling me.
Right. No, I didn't mean you personally. I didn't mean you personally, chief.
If there is a violation of ordinance or law, then they should call the police
Right.
department, any of the residents, and I invite them to do so. I have a question about this process, though. Is who actually applies for this warrant? And is that, what kind of?
I don't, are you familiar with the provisions as far as statutes pertaining to inspection warrants, which is different from search warrants?
So that's code.
Yes, there is a
Right.
provision of the Florida statutes that allow municipalities to apply for what's termed an inspection warrant. And it's a similar process to obtaining a search warrant, probable cause submitted to a judge or magistrate.
And who's
That
going
would be
to
done by the
initiate it?
town, by the code inspector, by the town's deputy, if necessary.
Like Danny Doherty,
I'm sorry.
like
Danny.
Danny Doherty. Would that be his purview or?
So my last comment to those that called in about this, and I sympathize with your concerns as well, and I know how frustrated you are with the behavior. That's why it is important. I know that one caller said that, calling the police time and time again is not a solution. That is correct. It is not the solution, but the solution is to call so that we can identify violations, which then result in a suspension or revocation of the registration, and therefore the property could not be rented. So there is a solution. It does take steps, as with all laws do. There has to be some due process here, and that's all that this is. And as the chief has said, he encourages you when you see violations to call the PD. The PD will record that. We'll share that with the town, and we will then take action against the registrant.
And I would add any other evidence, if there is physical evidence, such as video of that type of activity, then it's important, especially if you're going to invoke this type of due process, which I'm not opposed to. I really want to make sure it's clear in my mind where that evidence becomes very relevant both to us for any potential criminal violation, but it becomes essential. Again, I can speak to that if you wish. I think it would become even more essential if you are going to pursue that other recourse of a inspection warrant.
Right.
I also, if I'm clear as to what's going on, this does not change the ordinance in itself regarding violations and
That's correct.
suspension actions can still be initiated while other actions such as seeking an inspection warrant are in process. Is that correct?
Correct.
That makes it clear. I think maybe that may make it clear for the citizens as well. Violations can still be dealt with. You're not limiting that or removing that from the ordinance.
Oh, no, not at all. And I'm very sympathetic to all the stories that I've heard as far as vacation rentals here and in all other beach and other communities. And one of the things that, the town found in going through this process was that the platform VRBO, all the other rental platforms, they actually have offices set up where they have a live person there 24/7 to accept complaints from adjacent neighbors when some things are going on, and Mary has, I think, a copy of a letter that one of those sent and said, here's our phone number. If the residents, the neighbors have problems, send it to us, and they do self-police when they know what the situations are. So the residents might have taken that to Mary. It's on file here. And that's another potential remedy. But certainly, if any citizen has complaints about any kind of activity that's been described here, they should call the police department. The police will investigate it. They will document it, and all that becomes part of the story later on if it is necessary to go in and file for an inspection warrant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Time for a vote now?
Were there any more citizens?
May I, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're gonna call the roll now.
Okay, because we do have a resident who wants to speak again, but it's my understanding that a resident gets to speak once for 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Okay, Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yeah.
Commissioner Neal,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
No. Okay,
And the next item is just a companion resolution that would refer this ordinance also to the planning and zoning board sitting in CLPA. And it's resolution number 04-21, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Reading Shores referring a proposed ordinance to the code of the Town of Reading Shores pertaining to vacation rentals to the Planning and Zoning Board sitting as the local planning agency for review and recommendations, providing a time period for the local planning agency to report to the Board of Commissioners, providing an effective date.
And
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna,
ahead.
sure, if you're done. So this is the other part of the motion I originally
Yeah.
stated. So I move to, for resolution number 04-21.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Krajewski, second by Commissioner Neal.
Commissioner Blackburn.
Yeah.
Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay. I think that's it. With that. Okay, now, public comments on any item that was not on the agenda, discussed and everything on the agenda this evening.
Okay, so this now would be public comment for anything that was not discussed, any topics that were not discussed previously. So anyone has anything that was not on the agenda that they would like to bring up. I have one citizen with their hand raised, Sal Celeste. Sal, again, you'll have 3 minutes, and if you don't mind repeating your name and your address. I have unmuted you, and you may unmute your microphone. There you go. I think you can speak.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Sal.
Salvatore Celeste, 17814 Lee Avenue. This is a question, actually, and it's in regard with the upcoming election and some of the events that we talked about tonight. But it's one of these things is really, really, really nagging at me. And I want to direct it at Commissioner Neal because it's really, really bothering me. Commissioner Neal, you're running for mayor of this town. And
Yes,
I couldn't
sir.
help but notice that every time a measure has been brought before this committee regarding relief for the residents of the CTF, you have consistently voted against those protections in favor of those that are blatantly abusing the system with an obvious disregard for the families that live there. These rentals are being operated as businesses, and they should be subject to inspection, but that's really not where I'm going with this. These owners don't live here. They don't live here. They don't have personal belongings in those homes. They're running them as businesses. And it's not their home. You stated on the flyer that I got last week that you want to take the town back. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not that includes reversing the new rental ordinances that just became voted on. And those are our only recourse. Then you go on to say that you lived here for 20 years, but you haven't lived in the CTF district. So I have my doubts that you have any real concept of what goes on in there. And I think the voters deserve to know why you are so vehemently opposed to these regulations on this very important issue. I just don't get it. Why is it that every time something comes up to help the residents here who are obviously in distress, they're the taxpayers in the town, and we actually live here, why are you constantly voting everything down? I don't get it. Don't you care about the people who live here?
I don't have to answer nothing, but here, I'm going to tell you, I care about everybody that lives here, and I do not constantly vote everything down. There was 2 items when I voted no on this ordinance right here, and we just corrected the 2 items as to the reasons why I voted no on it. People have constitutional rights. The inspection process, the way we just passed it tonight, is the way that it needs to be. You get a warrant to go in and check people's property. You can't just, nobody has the right just to walk into somebody's home. And when they lease that home, that they have a right to live there. Now, I sympathize with what you're going through. To be honest with you, I don't live in a CTF section. I had my choices I had my opportunities to buy plenty of houses over there, but I chose to live on the other side of town. Now, with that being said, I'll do anything I can do to help you get out of your problems and everybody else is in the neighborhood. Now, I think
these aren't homes. These aren't homes. These are businesses. These people do not have possessional belongings, personal belongings in there. These people are operating this 365 days a year. It's available 365, which means they can't be living there. And they don't, this is not a home. So I understand that. Every other business in the world, okay, has inspection of some kind. If you're a gun dealer, they can come into your home anytime they want because you have a business there. If you own a restaurant, the health inspector can come in to see how you're operating your business without any kind of a warrant. And that's what's going on here, because by the time they go through the process of finding out what's, getting a warrant as if it was a home, the house has been sanitized. And that's what's happening. And it's like chasing your own tail. It's a horrible situation down there. And I'm actually to the point where I'm actually thinking about moving. That's how bad it is. And I just moved here 2 years ago, and I'm not the only one on the street in that CTF zone that thinks that way. It's that bad. I don't think you can understand the gravity of the situation down there. And you can tell by my voice, I am unhappy, and I've got a substantial investment in this community. And the people who are doing this don't. They're not part of it.
Sal, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you. We have 2 more hands raised at this time. And again, this has to be on a subject not discussed on the meeting. So we have Carol Music who would like to speak. Carol, please restate your name and your address, and then I will give you 3 minutes to start to speak. Hang on 1 second. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Carol Music, 17820 Lee Avenue. First of all, neither Sal nor Leslie live in that area. They are not homesteaded there. This is the only area that you can have overnight rentals. It is not for people to live there full time. There's every other district in the town that you can live in full time where you cannot have overnight rentals. The reason I chose there to have my business there is because it is a commercial tourist facility, like we discussed all year last year. So that's what I say about that. And I do have the right to discuss anything here. It's a First Amendment right. This is the time. Go ahead and stop that. That's not on the agenda. The vacation rentals was not on the agenda. The next thing is when you talked about having the cubicles for all the commissioners to be there in the mayor's office. I don't know why anybody would think that's a good idea, because that seems like that would violate the sunshine law when all the commissioners and the mayor are together. That even just the appearance of violating the sunshine law. If you are going to do that, I would suggest to have a recording device or a ring there. I mean, that I don't see how that's not a violation of the Ethics Commission. And then on the subject of Pat Drum being the liaison, when he left in October, why wasn't Commissioner Robinson designated at that time,
These are previous
or in the
agenda
November
items.
meeting, or in the December meeting? I mean, why did y'all wait till January? So I can understand why Commissioner Neal would think that might be politically motivated. And so And so I don't understand why all the commissioners are getting so upset about that. And
Carol,
to-
could I ask you to hold 1 minute? I'm going to put you on pause. Attorney Denhart, can Carol continue with her discussion?
That's up to the commission.
No,
No.
the rules are the rules, those are discussed on the agenda.
First Amendment violation. So you're shutting me up?
Commission?
Do we have to make a motion on that, or just everybody raise their hand? I don't know how this goes.
Ma'am, I don't think anybody is trying to shut you up.
She's not hurting me by telling me.
Y'all just,
Of course
Mary
not.
Beth just hit the gavel and Jenny Blackwood said, shut her up. I just want to know, are you shutting me up?
Did I say shut her up?
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
I don't, no, ma'am, I don't believe anybody is trying to shut you up. They're just-
Okay, shall I continue? You want to give me back my time?
If I may finish what I was saying, though, I think the commission is just requesting that you stick to the rules, and this is public comment to address the commission on any items that
We're not.
haven't already been discussed.
That, I'm sorry, sir, but that's not the rule. That's never been the rule. The 3 minutes is for anybody to discuss anything that they want. That's our First Amendment right.
I think it might be quicker just to let the speaker go ahead and finish her 3 minutes. And
I
that's what suggest
disagree.
you do.
Just let her finish.
I
She's got what,
disagree.
a
Let
minute?
go, whatever.
Okay, Carol, we're going to let you finish. I have paused when we were off air and in discussion, so you still have 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining.
Okay, as I was saying, and I don't know if anybody heard me, I don't mean to be contentious, but I saw all the commissioners jump all over Jeff Neal when he was trying to say that he felt like that this was being politically motivated. All I was saying was Pat Drum left in October and it had already been 10 months. And why did you wait until January? And there's no reason to jump all over him for making that statement. And then again, I would like to say that it would probably be a good idea to have a ring or some kind of recording device if you feel like it's a good idea for all the commissioners and the mayor to have all their offices together in one room. And I think that that might potentially be an ethics violation. You should talk to the Ethics Commission before you do that. And there again, also with the rentals, we've gone through all of this before. The commercial tourist district is for people who have businesses there. You have restaurants there. I could put a restaurant there where my two houses are. I don't think any of y'all would like that. In the same way with a single family house, we can have rentals there. And it is not up to the town commission to decide how many people to be in a bedroom, how many people to have there.
Yes, it is.
You can have building officials inspect for safety issues, and you can have the fire department inspect to make sure.
Carol, I'm sorry, your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If we're gonna have a recording device in the office where the commissioners are, we should have one at Wahoo's too.
Sure.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
sorry, but
Anybody else?
Yes, we have one more person with their hand raised, Leslie Kopic. Again, this is not to repeat yourself. This is not to discuss prior motions or discussion topics for tonight, Leslie. I'm going to permit you to talk and I will start the timer when you begin to speak. You are permitted, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm trying not to speak on the actual things that we spoke of earlier. What I am trying to speak about in public comment is more that currently there are properties in the CTF district that are still not properly doing the correct number of people. You can go on to VRBO, search several of the properties. From my understanding, based on the bedrooms and the maximum head count, they are still advertising more than what our agreement was as far as the new ordinances. So these are the things that it shouldn't be left up to us as individual owners to police these things. And really what I feel like the town, what's going to end up happening is those of us that live in the neighborhood for the last 15 years are going to have to band together, group together and hire attorneys to try to help alleviate the situations we're going with. This is a full-time job for us to continue to monitor what's going on VRBO, to discuss with each other what happened last weekend and who was defecating where. And I just really don't think everybody understands what we're dealing with. And I think that we're going to have to, band together as a neighborhood to actually hire attorneys to help us with this situation, because we are just tired of it. I don't come out as often as I used to because I am exhausted. I'm tired of people's kids playing in my yard. I'm tired of people backing into my yard. I'm tired of fixing sprinkler heads. And these are all renters. These are not people who live in our neighborhood. So I am tired of policing it. I believe Mr. Salvatore is as well, and many of our other neighbors. What is really going to happen is we're going to be forced to hire attorneys. Because this is to call the police. I love the police. The chief is wonderful. But by the time somebody's done peeing and his officers get there, they're going to knock on the door and ask them not to pee. I mean, what are we going to do? So I just don't think that the commission truly understands what we are dealing with. And it has not been this way. I've lived here for 15 years. It's only been this rental craziness for about the last 3. So in fairness, we bought before people turned their homes into vacation rentals. When these folks say in MLS, multiple listing service, when they're selling their properties, that they are making 500,000, that's a business. That is a true business. So I really want y'all to take that to heart and help us understand that. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Yes. Yes.
If there are any other citizens that would wish to speak at this time, please raise your hand.
You can talk. Just say we are homesteaded. You can talk.
I'm sorry. So you are all, this concludes our discussion at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Point of order, Mayor. I just want to make sure for the record, so it doesn't end up in the beacon. The changes to the mayor's office. It is the mayor's office today. The mayor is moving to what is now basically the commissioner office, so she will not be cohabitating with any of us. Her desk will not reside in the office that she currently is in. So there at times will only be as much as the 4 of us, the 4 commissioners, the vice mayor and the 3 commissioners in there. And I also think too that since a lot of us, and I'll say this, I'm very sensitive to ethics. And in no way, shape, or form when I be on fellowship, I think in any way, shape, or form I'm conducting any kind of discussion on the phone or with a resident or somebody that comes in. If there are other commissioners there are plenty of opportunities for me to come to another office or to another area within town hall to conduct that business. And I would hope that the other commissioners, and I think they would, take their discussions elsewhere and be sensitized to that. So I just want to make sure that in no way, shape, or form it's presented that the mayor is also cohabitating with the 4 commissioners once that renovation takes place.
No, and the challenge that we have right now is that we're running around looking for a desk to set up our laptop on so that we can go through our emails and so we can handle business that way. We're actually not putting any phones in that office. So none of us are going to be sitting at a desk carrying on a phone conversation. If you get a phone call, our rule will be that you exit and go somewhere else in the building where you can have that conversation. So this is not going to be a problem in that regard. And again, I really appreciate the mayor's willingness to give up that space, because this is a much more appropriate use of the space than what it is now. Well, I have one other comment. We ratified the bills for today for the last couple of months. If you've not signed this, please do before you leave.
Okay. Under miscellaneous, the next workshop meeting will be Wednesday, January 27th, 2021 at 6 p.m. The next regular meeting will be Wednesday, February 10th, 2021 at 6 p.m. And is there anything else? No, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
it's not my fault for that. It's how I feel. You have no idea. You have no idea what I've been going through the last couple of years. I don't care what you're nice. I'm sorry.